I just wanted to do a quick tutorial on flyer creation. Just real quick pop up. So what I'm going to do is I'll first want to introduce you to the Peculiar Collective website at peculiarcollective.org. And if you go to the website, you can click on go to online training. And this is where I'm teaching basically the Photoshop basics in our one-on-one course, which basically goes through some of the tools that you use, such as the move and transform, the shape tool, quick selection, erase tool, the brush tools, and the type tool. So I'm definitely offering that up to you as a possible option in the future for you to take. So I'm actually going to go here to close these windows out. I seen a flyer earlier that New Birth created. And I just wanted to do a quick pop-up and show you how simple you can do your flyers. So I was recently following New Birth, and I seen a flyer that they had did that I really liked. That was pretty simple. That we could that you could easily do yourself. And it was basically these flyers right here that they used. So this right here was the flyer that I actually liked, and I was looking at, and actually wanted to help flyer designers and future flyer designers create that do have Photoshop. So basically, I'm gonna make sure that I go ahead and copy this so we can have this example on standby. All right. So once again, this is the flyer that we're going to create. This right here is going to be the flyer that we create today via Photoshop. So let's go into Photoshop. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, select New, and once again we're going to look at the flyer example, and it looks like it's about a 5x5 flyer example. So we're going to go 5x5. We can keep the resolution at 150 and hit create. So we now have our canvas for this upcoming flyer that we're going to do. I'm going to drag this right here. All right. So what we have right here is we have multiple layers. So each piece that is positioned is going to be a different layer. For instance, this red background right here. I don't know if hopefully you see my cursor. Matter of fact, let me zoom in a little bit. This is going to be our background layer. That's one layer. Dr. Jamal Bryant, newbirth.org, newbirth.org, Dr. Jamal Bryant. That's going to be one layer. The New Birth logo is going to be another layer. This gray circle right here is going to be one layer. This color right here, which is another circle, also known as ellipse, as an ellipse in Photoshop. That's going to be another layer. Miss Christina or Dr. Christina, she's going to be a layer. And each one of these, the doctor, the Christina, the Sherrard, that's going to be a layer. This white line underneath of her name is going to be a layer. The Facebook Live icon is going to be a layer. At New Birth NBC is going to be a layer. Sisters is going to be a layer. At Calvary is another layer. Revival is a layer. April, APR is a layer. 09 is a layer. At 7:30 p.m. is a layer. So right here you have about roughly, just counting off the top, roughly about 17 or 18 layers, which is not hard to maintain. So if you look right here on your right panel, this is where your layers are, and the layer at the bottom is going to be your lowest layer. And as you build your Photoshop document, it's gonna the higher the layer is the closer to the top it is on your canvas. All right, so let's go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get a rectangle. We're going to use the rectangle tool right here, the rectangle shape tool. Select rectangle. And we're going to go to the fill, which is basically the color that we want the rectangle to be. And we could easily just pull up the other flyer and go right here to the color palette or the color picker. Click that. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sample this color right here and hit OK. When I click the eyeball, it makes the example template disappear. So what we're going to do is come right here, start at the corner, and go to the other corner. And now we have our base color for our flyer. Now, what we're also going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put our ellipse or circle on top of the background color. So we're going to make sure we build this color right here, this color ellipse, on top of the new canvas. So here we go. Oops. So we're going to come right back to the shape tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click, come right here and select the ellipse tool. Make sure when you do this that you're holding down the shift key to make sure that you're getting a even circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we got this, the flyer on. And we're going to go to the fill, go to the color picker again, and go right here, select that color, and hit OK. And voila. So let's see exactly where they have this at. So let's see here. I'm going to go to my move and transform tool so I can move the circle where I need it to be. All right, so what it is my circle is not big enough. I need to make it a little bit bigger. Right about there. And it looks like the circle is off center a little bit. Looks like it's about right there. And I still have to make it a little bit bigger. Right about there at work. That should about do it. Let me see. Yep, that should about do it right there. All right, so what it looks like they did was they actually put another circle on the inside of this black circle over here. So what we're going to do is go back to your ellipse tool. Before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and set the color to match our background color. Oops. Sorry about that. Matter of fact. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw our ellipse, holding down the shift key. And I need to change the color to match the background layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my new ellipse. Make sure I hold the shift key. All right. And I'm going to go. I'm going to draw my ellipse tool. Change the color. Let's look at the example. And it goes from, let's see. Right about there should be perfect for the flyer. So what we're going to do is, what we need to do is we actually need to put this circle on the inside of this gray circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to come right to that circle, hit right click, create clipping mask. And that actually puts the circle on the inside of the gray circle. You really can't see the difference right now, but let me go ahead and go back and do it again. So and I'm gonna actually make this this circle a different color so you can actually see the difference. I'm gonna make it blue. And right now it's outside of the circle. It's outside of the ellipse that we created earlier, but I actually want it on the inside. I don't want any of this outside of this black circle right here. And you'll see what I mean. So as I do this, I'm gonna right click, create clipping mask. And now it's on the inside of this black circle. So I'm gonna actually go and switch it back to the color that I wanted. So this is what I generally do. Dr. Christina Sherrard is likely on Facebook or Instagram, but it's easier for me to pull and save pictures and copy pictures on Facebook. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm actually go to facebook.com. And I'm gonna go to Christina Sherrard. And this is her right here. And I'm gonna actually find her picture. Let me see all. Go to see all. And her photo. This is the photo right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually make her smaller. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go to our quick selection tool and start selecting the parts that we actually want to be in the project. All right. So we have selected the majority of our hair. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to hit Command J if you're using a Mac, and it should pull her from the selection. Exactly. And that's exactly what we want right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go back. Make sure all our hair is selected, or a majority of our hair is selected. Then we're going to hit Command J on Mac, and it should pull her away from the main picture. So once we turn off the main picture, that's what we get. So if you can see, there's still a little bit of the border from the picture still in the photo. So what we're going to do is just going to use the eraser tool. Come right in. So what we're going to do now is go to the Move and Transform tool and actually figure out exactly where to put her as it relates to the example we're going with. Let's look again. Let's see, bring it down a little bit. And we're going to actually adjust a few of these layers just to ensure that we got it exactly the way they have it. All right, so we're actually going to put her on the inside of the gray circle as well. So we're actually going to bring her down here. Sometimes you just got to play around with where pieces of the project are to ensure that it fits. I think that's actually the perfect positioning for it. And I'll actually lower her down into the circle a little bit more. Let's see what we got. That looks about right. So what we're going to do now is, what we're going to do is actually make this picture black and white. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go down here to your Create New Fill Adjustment layer right here. And we're actually going to select black and white. And if you notice, it makes the whole project black and white. So what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to apply another clipping mask. So if you didn't notice what I did, I right click and hit Create Clipping Mask. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to merge these two layers. So what I did was selected both layers. And what I'm going to do now is right click and go to Merge Layers. So now she's actually black and white. So as I go ahead and let me see what the next step is. So we're actually going to start to begin the process of putting in some of the graphics. So if you notice, we have one Facebook Live PNG graphic with a transparent background, and we also have the New Birth logo, which is also a transparent, that has a transparent background. So what we can do is we can go right to Google, type in New Birth logo, go to images. What we're going to try to find is a white logo that has like a gray and white background. You'll see what I mean when I find it. Oh, there we go. Off the first go. Here we go. So if you see right here, we have the New Birth logo with a gray and white blocks. Usually this means there's a transparent background. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, copy image, and we're going to drop it right here. We're going to make it small enough to go down and commit to the change. And we also need a Facebook Live logo. Let's see, let's click around and see. This may be a transparent background right here. Let's try this. Copy image, hit Command V, and this is a transparent background. Let's make it small. Put it right about here somewhere. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start to add text. So what we're going to do is we're going to write everything out and go ahead and correct the fonts as we go along. So here we go. We're going to start from the bottom, then we're going to go up. So newbirth.org / Dr. Jamal H. Bryant. Let's go here. All right. So what we're going to do is put these side by side so we can actually look at what we're doing. In all caps, we have newbirth.org / Dr. Jamal H. Bryant. And we're going to go back and we're going to make sure that we center everything appropriately. And we got one layer that's going to say Doctor. One's going to say Christina. And one's going to say Sherrard. Then we got some more text up here. One layer is going to be APR. We have a layer that says 09. And we're going to come back and adjust those. We have at 7:30 p.m. We have in all caps sisters is a layer, and at Calvary is another layer. And then we got to make sure we take the caps lock off and write in revival. And we got to make sure we in caps lock we put the Facebook Live location. All right, so we have all our text written out. So all we had to do now is actually adjust all these fonts to match these fonts. So what you got to realize is that these letters, Dr. Christina Sherrard, Christina Sherrard is in one size font, and then Doctor is in a smaller size font. If you notice, the words are actually italic. So we're going to actually make these words italic. Sisters at Calvary is also in italic. So let's work on this. And also, if you notice, APR is a bold, and the 09 looks like it's in a regular font. So let's get to work. So as I previously stated, Christina Sherrard is in a larger font, and the color is the same color as the background for the project. So select that. So we have our color selected. Method, let's go ahead and make revival in 09 the correct color right now. All right, here we go. So let's backtrack. All right, so the Christina Sherrard, we're actually gonna make her name bigger. We're gonna go right here to the character tool. If this is not showing up on your, if the character panel is not showing up, just come up here to window, and select character right here, and make sure that option is showing is checked, and it should pop up in your panel. So let's go. Here we go. I'm gonna guesstimate it's about a 24. It's actually a little bit larger than a 24. Let's go with a 30. 30 seems about right. Let's make it italic. And I usually go with a Futura font or a Montserrat font. But for this one, let's see. So we're gonna go with a Montserrat font. I'm going to go a little larger on the characters, probably about 36 would do. We're gonna squeeze the letters a little tighter, and we're gonna italicize. So what you're gonna do is come over here into your character panel again, and we're gonna hit the italic button right here to give us some italics. But what we also had to do is make these letters a little closer together. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go over here to this right here, and we're gonna decrease the spacing. So right now it's currently at a 0. So we wanted to go to a negative number to bring the letters closer. So for the sake of this exercise, let's go to negative 100. Make it a little bit wide, less tighter. Let's go with 50%. That right there should work. I'm actually going to drag the letters over. And the letters come right off of her name. Or right off of her shirt, I mean. Right about there. Probably can go with a smaller font and bring the letters closer together. So what I'm actually going to do is bring her last name up right underneath. So what I'm going to do now is also apply the same effect to the doctor, but I'll make the doctor a little bit bigger, which will probably be at about a 26. Oops, let me make sure I got this selected. For right now, I'm gonna make it about a 24. Bring the letter in to about a 75. Make sure we italicize it. And the font that we chose earlier was a Montserrat. We gotta remember that we gotta change the color back to match the rest of the lettering. So make sure you go back to your type tool and select the color. Easy peasy. So the last little bit that we do have to do to her name is we got to make sure that they have a white line underneath of ARD in her name. So what we got to do is go right here, select the layer underneath of that, and go to your shape tool. Right click, go to line tool. And make sure we correct the fill color of the line. And we're gonna make that white. And And it's a little bit wider. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the height of the line and just make it a little bit wider. Oops, sorry, wrong way. I'm actually going to go to the weight of the line and make it a little bit heavier. Actually going to go to the height of the line. So I'm actually going to go to the height of the line, and I'm going to make the line a little bit wider, or a little bit make the height of the line a little, I'm going to see the height of the line up. I'm going to take the height of the line up to about a 14. Oops. And I'm going to bring that line down. So let's go ahead and work on the other lettering that we have. We have Sisters at Calvary, which is our main piece. I'm actually bring these two pieces down a bit. All right. So here we got Sisters at Calvary. So we're gonna make Sisters at Calvary a bit more larger. And if you notice, Sisters is a little bit bigger than Calvary. So let's work on it. It's in italics. Commit to the change. Put it in italics. Sisters. Bring it right about here. Let's see, right about here should do it. And we're going to select Calvary. Make that a bit larger. And make sure I commit to it and make that italics. It still isn't big enough yet, so let's make it a bit more larger. That right there is about right. So we just got to shift it over just a bit. So it's right by the hair. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to put revival on top. So I'm going to go over here to my layer, my layers, and select revival. And revival is actually laying across the words. So right about here, right about the L and the A. We're going to put revival. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to find a font that is similar to this font that was used. So let's go over here. I'm going to try this Corinthia font. Let's see. It's not exact, but it's about right. So I'm going to bring it right about here. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start working on the other layers. So if you remember, we got the Facebook and New Birth. It looks like they put that on. That was one of the last pieces they applied. So let's bring that to the top. And what we're going to do is oops, let me see, grab the wrong pieces. Bring this up to the top. I'll bring the Facebook Live icon down a little bit. And bring them right by the R. Right about there, should be about right. And we're actually going to bring the Facebook call sign right here next to it. Probably make it just a little tad bit smaller. That looks pretty good to me. All right, so what we're going to do next is, I'm looking at this dot there and actually want to make it just a little tad bit smaller. And bring it over a bit. All right, so what we're going to do now is work on the date. So the date goes right on top of Sisters at Calvary, but right now we're going to work on the size of it. So here we go. And mind you, you don't have to use these exact same fonts. You can kind of tailor it to the way you want to have it. So I would say that the dates are about at let's see if the 24 would do it. 24 looks like it'll do it. So let's go. We're gonna actually bring it down a little bit, right above the I. Make sure the 09 is beside the APR. And bring the time right beside that. So what we're actually going to do is, if you notice that the APR look like it's bold and that 09 is a regular font. So what we're going to do is this right here. If you notice, I didn't use their exact font. I could go through the 300 or 400 fonts I do have to find the exact one. But for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to use the Futura font. And so we have that set. We're going to bring those letters down, the letters and the time down a little bit, so it's not so far apart. Right about there would be perfect. And I actually want to tighten the letters up on the APR to kind of match the flyer as well. So what I'm going to do is select APR in the layers panel, come right here, and find that negative number that works. And I'm going to go down one more. That looks about right. And I'm going to actually do the same for the 09. Take it to about a 75. A negative 75, that is. And I'm going to slide it over. And I'm going to slide the time over. And then I'm going to, since I'm done that part, what I'm going to actually do now is center the newbirth.org and Dr. Jamal H. Bryant piece. Center it right underneath a New Birth. And if I want to get it exactly right, I'll select both of them and go right up here and select a line horizontally. And if you see, it has now centered both pieces. So that basically, I think that's about right. It's almost exactly alike. Let's see. I'm gonna go to File, Save As. Come right here, do example pop up, but save it as a JPEG. And I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna come right here to the JPEG options, hit OK. Let's see what we got. This right here is the original flyer. And this is our example flyer. Let's do it one more time. This was the screenshot we took earlier. And this is our final product. With us doing flyers, there's little pieces we can add if we decide that we want to make it pop a little bit more. It's up to our discretion to change up little pieces here and there. For instance, if I was in charge of doing this flyer, I probably would have added a little flare, just to give it a little pop at Calvary. Let me show you an example, just real quick. I would have came down here and created a new layer to paint on. Go to my brush tool. And I would have came and probably selected a cool little flare to add to it. For the sake of this tutorial, let me see. Let's just use this flare right. This might work right here. Let's try this one. So I would have came right here, ensured that my caps lock was off. All right, and got to make sure that your brush is white. I probably would have came right here and just inserted a little bit of a flare, and then behind her, I probably would have just did something just a little different, and selected a different brush, just a regular brush in white, and just put a little touch of white behind her, and of course would use the opacity to bring it down a little bit, just to pull her away from that background a little bit. But once again, it's up to you as a creative designer. And that's how I pretty much would have did the flyer. I probably would have went in behind the name. For instance, this Christina. Right click, hit blending options, and probably would have dropped a little bit of a shadow to her name a little bit. Just to give it just a little bit of a pop. And just so that the sisters wasn't so plain, I likely would have went in, created a new layer with the same brush, peachy red color, and color red over top of sisters a little bit. And use the clipping mask to go right into that and fade it off a little bit with the change by lightening that opacity a little bit. Just to provide like a little different little twist. That's just one of the little things that I probably would have done to make this flyer different. So if you actually save this, save as JPEG right there. We'll call this pop-up number 2. Hit save. Okay. Minimize this. And if we, I don't know if you can really see a difference, but this would have been one flyer, and this would have been the other flyer. Just a little bit of a difference, but it's the small things that count. So hopefully you learned something in this course. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at info@peculiarcollective.org. Once again, that's info@peculiarcollective.org.